Hey, this is the most personal video that I've filmed. I'm sharing the full story of my fitness journey, the highs, the lows, the control, the collapse, the discipline and the burnout, what I did do great, what I didn't do great, and all the juicy details of every single thing I tried, I went through all in one video. But more than that, I'm unpacking what it really means to find balance and how that word has completely evolved for me over time. I started when I was 12. I was 5'5", I had already hit puberty, and I was 185 pounds. And honestly, I felt uncomfortable in my body. I am a mixed child. I'm half Filipino and South African. My dad was South African, my mother is Filipino. And my family would constantly make fun of me for my weight. My immediate family, my extended family, and then honestly, sometimes people at school, like teachers. I'm not even gonna get into that because it's a whole different story. I was very aware of my body early on in life. My mom would constantly compare me to her, and she is this like 4'8", bless her heart. She is 4'8", pale skin, stick straight hair, like she's tiny. And she would constantly compare my body to her body as if we were on the same playing field, and we were just not. And that affected me growing up. That affected my sense of self-worth because she would say things like, if you are fat, then you will not have a boyfriend. And early on, it ingrained this mentality in me that I need to be skinny to have love. I need to be petite and little to have love. And it drove a lot, like that thought pattern ran my life for a long time. I think at one point I was in middle school, maybe 8th grade. I started working out in secret. I downloaded MyFitnessPal and Skimble, and MyFitnessPal is a calorie counting app, and Skimble is like an app where they give you exercises. I think it would be like a beta version of Apple Fitness, like just something like that, where I learned how to do basic calisthenics like push-ups, sit-ups, lunges, jumping jacks. I remember my bedroom having carpet and it being on the 3rd floor, and I would do jumping jacks in secret because we could always hear, like from the bottom floor, we could always hear if somebody was moving around upstairs. So from my bedroom, I made sure I was doing jumping jacks on my tippy toes, anything very quietly. Something in me snapped and I committed to working out consistently. I would go home every day after school and work out with this app. And then I later discovered Blog Pilates and Eckhart Yoga on YouTube. And that was my first exposure to Pilates and mat-based workouts and yoga and foundational movements that would set the tone and the trajectory for the rest of my fitness journey. There was a part of me that was nervous about doing this, but there was a part of me that was also angry. I was tired of being looked at as the bigger friend. I was tired of being looked at as the fat family member. I was tired of my mom telling me that everything she bought me wouldn't fit me because I was too fat. It gnawed away at me and I got sick of it and I snapped and I decided to just work out in secret, put in the work behind closed doors. Nobody knew. Part of me was also afraid that if I told somebody or if I told my family, they would discourage me or they would make fun of me. And so I kept it a secret and I just let the results show for themselves, and that they did. Because it wasn't long before both my parents were wondering like, hey, you're really slimming down. Like, I see you eating less. They didn't know I was working out in my room every single day after school. None of that. They just thought I wasn't putting as much on my plate. And I was doing that too. And that's what led to disordered eating and a poor relationship with food. I had the calorie counting app. I remember Googling how to lose weight and it said calorie deficit. And that is the first, like, that was the blueprint that my mind held on to. And so I thought that if I overtrained and I underate, I would lose weight. And I was losing weight because this was my 12, 13-year-old body's first experience pushing my body and just testing its limits and under eating. I became obsessed with numbers, calories in, calories out. And it honestly led to a really poor relationship with food and with myself, because I remember being depressed and feeling anxious and just constantly trying to push my body to do more. I wanted my body to feel underfed, overtrained. Like, I would push myself to the point of exhaustion. And this was the one extreme I was in, right? Where I was depleting myself. I was not nourishing myself. I was depriving myself of everything I needed. And eventually I did it. I lost 50 pounds. I had gone down to 135 pounds. Honestly, I looked healthy. Could have stopped there, and I didn't. I wanted to get down all the way to 115 pounds. And I think I got close. I got like to 119. And I remember tasting it. I remember feeling so good, like depriving myself. And it was just, I was a slave to MyFitnessPal. I was a slave to calorie counting. I was a slave to overtraining. My dad got me a gym membership around this time. I remember discovering the treadmill, and that was a game changer for me. Adding cardio into my already crazy routine where I would undereat and push my body to eat like 300 calories a day, overtrain and like make sure I was sweating on the floor to these apps and these videos. As like a preteen, not knowing that there were other healthier ways to go about this, right? Like through nutrition or consistent exercise and just like seeing it out all the way through. No, like I needed more constantly. And so I pushed for it. And then my dad got me this gym membership and I discovered the treadmill. And I remember being obsessed with the metrics, the calories I burned, the laps I ran, the miles I ran, the incline, like how fast I would go. I remember becoming obsessed with running. I would run up and down the sidewalk in front of my neighborhood. I would go to the gym with my dad whenever he was going. He was like an older father, so he would just like go do the resistance training stuff and like be on with it. And whenever he'd come to find me, I'd be just like going ham on the treadmill and he'd be like, "Are you done?" Like, it's just crazy. Eventually, I went to high school and I discovered track and cross country. I had no exposure to like sports really. I didn't know I could run professionally. I was just learning this as I grew up, right? I got interested in joining the track and cross country team and I joined and I made it on, and I remember being so excited at the idea of running competitively. All the hard work I had been putting in behind closed doors, I could now put out on the field. I could now compete against others and measure like our training, and I could now bring something to myself to show for it other than my body. Somehow in my brain, I thought that wasn't enough, was taking care of myself. And so I did it and I ran and my body broke down. I got injured. I had a hip injury. I had an ankle injury. I tore my left calf. To this day, my left side is weaker than my right side. Like I have less muscle mass on my left leg than I do in my right leg because of seasons of having to sit out races because I was injured, because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was competing now, but I didn't realize I was competing against other people that had recovery programs, that had nutrition programs, that had personal trainers. Like I didn't realize that high school was that level of serious. Like I didn't really know that I had to train properly and eat properly. I thought I was doing everything right because I was doing it alone. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know who to ask for help. I felt like anybody would make fun of me if I was going to ask for help. I did learn how to active rest. I cycled, I swam. I went back to my Pilates videos and my yoga videos, and it was the first real sign in my life that I had to slow down, because I was like, I went years, like literally like early middle school to high school, just running. And shout out to, I guess, like youthful energy and just stamina, but like, I don't know how I did that. I truly don't. If I had more tools and resources, I probably could have redirected that energy towards something sustainable. My entire life, I've noticed I've struggled with extreme, and that was the most extreme. And then like it put me in another extreme of doing absolutely nothing. And I guess like active rest is something, but to me it felt like nothing because I wasn't contributing to the team, which was my new frame. Like at first it was just to get skinny, and now it was to contribute positively to a team. If we're running fast, then we're winning. And from there, everything became inconsistent. Going to college, I would be in and out of strength training. I would be in and out of yoga classes. I would be in and out of running because I went to college on a campus where there was just all this Olympic grade equipment, and I would try it out. And I remember it feeling so big. I remember feeling very small compared to it. And this was because I wasn't running. I wasn't weight training. I wasn't doing everything I needed to do consistently. And at that point, I still hadn't gotten my nutrition down. I had a dining pass with swipes and I would go buffet style to the dining halls, but I didn't know. I've heard of macros. I've heard of all these things. I was not unaware of all the things I needed to do and practice in order to have good nutrition, a balanced diet. Part of me was afraid because I didn't want to trigger disordered eating, not knowing that I was still eating disordered because I would binge in those dining halls. And then if I would binge too much, I would go days without eating. And I was working a job that demanded a lot of my time. I was taking like 18 credits every quarter at school to graduate in 4 years. And so my schedule was just full. I had found another extreme, my career and my intellectual pursuits and my my fitness life completely took a back seat. It was just inconsistent, like I said. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do anything. I gained some weight. I gained some weight when I went to college, and then I lost it because my campus was just so walkable. Everything, I had to walk everywhere, and there were hills, and it was insane. I found a middle ground. I eventually started walking again. I started walking uphill on the treadmill, and I would try to be very lightly active, but I had succumbed to really poor habits. I started smoking. I started drinking a lot. I started sleeping like at 3 a.m. because I had so much work to do and so much homework and just so many classes. And glory to God, I graduated on time, and I graduated when COVID had just hit. So it was like my last quarter was a break from everything. I didn't walk to class anymore because I had to stay inside because all the classes had shut down. Everything was online. I had just turned 21 and could legally buy a drink. And I remember drinking and pounding White Claws in my dorm room alone, and just like going to work and coming back, and just like that cycle was insane. I would try to get back into fitness and working out, and I just quit. I would start, I would quit, I would start, I would stop. And it became this cycle. I guess I'd learned more about like nutrition and whole foods. I remember learning about CMOS and veganism. I was vegan for like 5 years after watching this food documentary. All these slowdowns pointed me back to my nutrition. I was not allowed to move, essentially. I was like injured because I had to focus on my nutrition. I didn't know it at the time, but in reflection, like that's what that time was for. Eventually, I found a home studio, a home yoga studio in LA, Y7 Studio in Silver Lake, shout out to them. I rediscovered my love for movement. I was moving because I wanted to, and it was out of honoring my body because it was such like a slow and intentional movement. And I also felt like I was sweating off like years and detoxing years of emotions and things that piled up, experiences and injuries and all of that. So yoga was very healing for me. I remember stretching, releasing knots, and getting into our fascia, taking things slow. And it was just as much a spiritual practice for me as it was a physical one because it slowed my mind down a lot. My mindset was a large part of the problem in my fitness journey. And I implore anybody seeking out to start to check their intentions and the root of why. Like, what is your why for starting? For a long time, my why was to be skinny. My why was to feel worthy, to be loved, to look a certain way, for aesthetics, things that are not sustainable, things that die out, things that change over time. And it was no wonder I couldn't keep a consistent routine because my why was not rooted. And that was the problem. When I found yoga, I finally found why. I just want to move to feel good. I don't want to move to prove something to somebody, to do anything. I just want to feel good. And yoga really helped me find what felt good. And for the first time in my entire life, yoga felt like coming home. It felt like being in my body. It felt like being present. And it connected so much for me because I had been, throughout my entire fitness journey, I had been in like multiple abusive relationships. And it was easy for me to dissociate and leave my body. Also pushed me to work it even harder because then I had increased my pain threshold. My pain tolerance is crazy high. So of course I go crazy hard or go insane or try to feel pain in anything I do because I have felt all of this before. I need something more. And yoga told me that it was okay to move and not push myself to the extreme. There was this 3-part flow vinyasa class that I would take that was like just in the middle. It was like still slow, still yoga. It was still calming, releasing, detoxifying, but it also pushed me a little bit. And then in 2024, like at this point, I'm still not consistently in the gym. I'm still not tracking my nutrition. I'm not eating right. I'm not running. 2024, a friend challenged me to a step challenge. Whoever walks the most steps in the week buys lunch, and I won. That kind of it was like a domino effect after that. I felt like I could stick with something and see it through. Like even though it was just a week, it showed me that I could do that. And it made me realize that I had been going to yoga for 2 years. I've been going that entire time, and because I loved it, it didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like working out. But this step challenge felt like work because I was competing for something. Yoga taught me that I didn't need to compete, but this step challenge showed me that I could compete and win in a consistent way. So it opened up a whole new door for me. So then I decided, let me try running again after all these years, and I decided I needed help. So I found this app called Runna. It had a program, like a beginner's program called like Run My First 5K. I did it. I set it to beginner mode. I set it to like first time running. You know, I had to humble myself. I had to be okay with starting over. I had to be okay with being a beginner again. I had to be okay with sucking, and I did. But I showed up. I went to Planet Fitness every single day and went on the treadmill and ran. I didn't start off running. I kept walking for a while. I would walk every day. But then my body started to crave more. Like it started gaining more confidence. Okay, let me try running, you know, like let me just run a little bit. Let me run down the sidewalk. Let me run back to the house. Little bursts of running. And then starting this challenge really set it off for me because I knew more now. I had a job. I had the space. I was an adult now. I had no excuses to not approach this the correct way. So I started running and I would recover. I would stretch. I would eat properly. I would try to get enough protein in. At this point, my nutrition is still not like at the level it's at right now. It was better than it was in high school. I would stretch, I would run, I would start to weight lift, went to yoga consistently. I started doing Pilates. I was doing all these things to support running, which was central. That was my central goal at the time. So this was, I think, like over the summer. I trained all summer, and then sometime in October, I ran a 5K. I timed myself, did a 5K, and my goal was to run it at a 10-minute pace, and I ran it at 8:24. And I was so proud of myself because yet again, I made a goal and I saw it through, and it was like a longer period than the 1 week. It was like a 3-4 month goal, and I finished it and I accomplished it, and I did it without injuries. I didn't hurt myself. I was healthy. You know, I was in a healthy body. And then I moved all the way across the country from LA to Florida, and that's where I am now. And this is where things got a little crazy. This is where I discovered Lagree. And Lagree brought everything together for me. Lagree is an ever-evolving method. It is a spring-based physical fitness workout. I have the mini former, but there are other versions of the machine. It tests your endurance. It's muscle strengthening, muscle lengthening, mental fortitude building. It's all of it. It's the integration of everything I've been trying to balance. Strength, cardio, precision, balance, control. It felt like it was yoga, Pilates, running, and strength training all in one. And I was mind blown because I didn't know there was a workout that could do it all. It made me ask myself this question: is it always about finding balance, or is it really about being whole enough to be able to hold all of it under one thing? And that is Lagree for me. I'm so happy I found it because it changed my mindset and showed me that slow movement and consistent movement brings about the most change. I'd always been obsessed with short bursts of work, inspiration, going all in on something, but I can go all in on Lagree in a Lagree class and it still be slow and controlled and intentional. As long as my purpose is rooted and my why is rooted and I know and stand firm in what I'm doing, I'm going to see results. And I saw results. So I've been doing Lagree for 6 months straight and I loved it so much I even got certified. So I am a certified Lagree instructor. Now I'm finding myself in a space where I'm filling my plate up again with different types of movement. Personally, for me, I need to do different movements. I wanted to do it right this time. So now I'm doing Lagree, I am weightlifting, and I'm walking, and I'm prioritizing my nutrition. I factored running out of the equation just because I needed something more sustainable. I've been putting in all this hard work and all of those things, but I was still not seeing results. And the only thing that tied it all together was the thing I had been avoiding for years, and that is nutrition. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear that they can't eat their favorite chocolate chip cookie every single day. And that's me because I love chocolate chip cookies. But I can't eat it every single day. I will not reach my goals. My goal this year is to build the strongest core of my life, and I'm going to do that by eating and fueling my body and focusing on proper nutrition. And it's crazy, the paradox, because all my life, what worked for me, or what I thought worked for me, was under eating and overtraining, because that's where I first saw results. That was my first exposure to working out. Doing it this way, where I'm moderately training and I'm eating a lot. I'm eating like almost 2,000 calories every day. That is crazy different from the 500 calories I allotted myself when I was 13. So I'm eating 2,000 calories and working out and not overexerting myself, and I'm seeing crazy results. I already lost 3 pounds and it's been 3 weeks, and that's sustainable. That's a pound a week. I'm going to continue down this path, and I'm going to take you guys with me, and I'm going to share everything I'm learning. And this is where I am now, and I'm in the healthiest place of my life by far. I still move a lot, and I tend to move quickly, but now that I'm firmly rooted in my why, it comes from a place of trust. I trust myself to know that I can do a workout and not go crazy and overexert myself and push myself to my limits. I'm doing it from a place of discipline and self-trust and loyalty to my higher self, because I know that I can do it for myself. I know that I can achieve my goals. And if you're watching this, you know you can achieve your goals too, and you just need somebody to relate to and hear you and validate validate you and show you that this has been my life. I have been running from doing the things the right way all my life because I've opted for doing it my way. My way is nothing compared to God's way, compared to ways it's been studied before, compared to ways that I need to do it. Not because I think it's okay, but because I know it's okay and I know it's going to give me the best results. I've found the most results from asking for help because I'm working with a personal trainer now. I'm really prioritizing nutrition now. I don't have to run 5 miles to see results or train to failure. I just have to keep showing up consistently with intention. So if you're on a fitness journey right now, or if you're just starting and you want to hear someone's story, take it from me. You don't need to go to extremes to see results. You just need to be committed to a process, whatever process that looks like, every single day. If that means going out for a 20-minute walk every day until it snowballs into an hour-long walk, that's your process. If it means eating a cookie once a week instead of once a day, that's your process. Whatever little step you take will bring you to the next step, because that's what it did for me. I went from extreme to extreme, and now a balance of everything where I can approach all the workouts from a place of love and a place of love for my body and myself, and trust that I am going to see it through and that I am going to choose the best movements for my body and eat the best way for my body so that I can get the results I want. I used to think balance meant doing less. I used to think if I wasn't constantly running or moving or sweating, that it meant I wasn't doing any work, that it meant there wasn't any progress happening. But that's just not true. I'm now realizing and learning that balance means being whole enough to be able to hold both extremes and knowing how much of each to pour into your own cup to reach your goals. And I'm so excited to be Lagree certified because I'm so excited to continue to learn and grow and educate myself and share this method with you guys and continue to share my fitness journey with you guys, my results, my downfalls, my highs and my lows, everything. And thank you so much for listening. And if you've ever swung between extremes and have struggled to find balance, I hope my story resonated with you. You're not broken. There's not something wrong with you for being intense and passionate. And you're not weak for needing rest. The work isn't to find balance like it's somewhere you arrive, like it's a tangible thing. The work is working to become whole, to be able to embody that balance. Thank you for watching. If you resonated with this, please leave me a comment, subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. If you guys are starting a fitness journey, let me know. I would love to support you. And if you want more details on my story, I wrote a full think piece in my Substack. The link is in the description box. Thank you for watching again, and we're in this together. Bye.